Good evening and welcome everybody. I'll just let people pop in. I can see people are arriving. You're all very welcome to this spotlight session. We're going to talk today about the business programs and the business provision at IADT in Dunleary. So before I begin, I'm talking about the programs. I'm going to tell you a little bit about who I am, and I'll introduce you to one or two others who are here to who will be talking to you also. So my name is Therese Moylan. My role in IADT is I am the head of the Department of Business, and I look after the programs that we run in the area of business. And hopefully over the next 3 or 4 years, some of you will get to know me during that time. So some of my colleagues are here with me, and we're delighted as always to have a couple of our students who are currently doing some of the programs that you might be interested in along with us today. And obviously it's far more interesting to hear from them than it is from me. So I'm just going to ask my colleagues maybe to pop on their cameras and just to say hello to you before we start. Connor, I see you there, so maybe you'd begin, please.
Thank you, Therese. Connor Hegney is my name. I'm a finance and accounting teacher in IADT. I'm also the program coordinator for the Applied Entrepreneurship degree. So you're all very welcome to this session. Thank you, Therese.
Thanks, Connor. Johnny, you're next in my line of vision, so I'll go to you.
No bother. My name is Johnny, and I am a second-year student in the Entrepreneurship and Management course.
Great, thank you, Johnny. And Siobhan? I might just go from Siobhan, who seems to have, as we were all saying in these sessions, you have frozen. I might just go from Siobhan over to Ava, and I'll come back to Siobhan.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ava Perez, and I'm program chair for the BA in Digital Marketing, and I'm also a lecturer in Digital Marketing.
Thanks. And Siobhan, sorry there, I think you froze a little.
Yeah, my whatever technical difficulties technically happened. My name is Siobhan Gallagher. I lecture in business on the business programs in IADT, and I also look after work placement. So I'm looking forward to answering any questions you might have on that.
Thanks a million, Siobhan. I'm sure we'll have a couple. And finally, Sam, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself, please.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sam Horgan, a first-year digital marketing student.
Great, thanks, Sam. And we'll come back because I'm sure that our audience will be interested in your experience. So just for about 4 or 5 minutes, I'm going to take you through the programs that you can apply to in IADT that are business related. And I'll tell you a little bit about them and what's entailed. And then we'll try and open it up and have a general conversation with the rest of the team. So just looking at that list there, that contains the programs that we do in the Faculty of Enterprise and Humanities. And of those 6, 4 of them have a business element. So I'm going to start with the BA in Arts Management. Now, this is a business degree, but it's as a colleague of mine says, it's a business degree with a little bit of a twist. And the twist on this particular program is that it is all about business as it relates to the arts and cultural sector. So it's very much, you will do things that you would expect to do on a business program. You do marketing, you do management, you do some finance, but you're also studying the arts and the creative sector, and you're learning about cultural policy, and you're learning about film, and you're learning about event management, cultural studies. And the idea is that the graduates, the people who come on this program, tend to have an interest in the arts, but they don't see themselves as pursuing a career in the arts in the sense of becoming an artist or a filmmaker. But they do have an interest in that sector. And the graduates tend to end up working as managers, as marketeers, as the business development people in the arts and cultural side. So for anyone who does have that passion for the arts, but is also interested in the business side of it, this is a program well worth considering. It's a 4-year honours degree program. And as I move over to the list, the next one that we meet is the Bachelor of Business in Applied Entrepreneurship. This is a level 7 program in business that has a very strong focus on entrepreneurship. And this, when you're considering a level 7, you should always check out and see if there's the capacity and ability to progress onto a level 8. And in IADT, we do the 3-year level 7 program, and about 70% of our students continue with us and they do an additional year. So they do their add-on degree to acquire their 4-year degree. But the program itself is quite practical in nature and has a strong focus on entrepreneurship. Now, sometimes I think when you listen to the word or people talking about entrepreneurship, or you hear the word entrepreneur, you tend to think of it very much as, or we often tend to think of it as, you know, Bill Gates and the Steve Jobs of the world, who against all odds set up really big mega companies, make a fortune, and you know, they're the entrepreneurs we think of. But actually, entrepreneurship is very much it's a wider concept, and it's very much a skill set that all of us in the current world really need to think about acquiring. And what I mean by that is, it's a way of thinking about how you approach problems and situations. So what entrepreneurs tend to do, and what someone with an entrepreneurial mindset is really good at doing, is they think about things a little bit differently to everybody else. They're able to identify opportunities, and not alone do they see these opportunities, but they actually have the get up and go and the wherewithal to go out and do something about it. And when you think about that, that's much broader than just setting up a business. It can be used in many contexts. It can be used as an employee. It can be used as if you're working for yourself. So what we're after and what we're all about is creating people who are able to see opportunity, who have a really good, competent skill set to get up and make something happen. And that entrepreneurial mindset runs through everything that we try and do in IADT. So this is a 3-year program. You cover finance, marketing, management, digital, a little bit of digital marketing. Technology, as we all know, is becoming increasingly important. But it has a very, very strong practical focus. So you're doing projects consistently, and a lot of our project work is very much about applying what you're learning in the classroom into the real world. And this year we're delighted for students who will be coming in this year to our level 7. We have introduced a work placement component into this, which is new, and that means that the students will have an opportunity to go out on a work placement in the second semester of the 2nd year. And we'll come back and we'll talk about placement again in a bit more depth. The degree underneath that it's a 4-year honours degree, the Bachelor of Business and Business Management. And again, like our level 7, it's focused on business management, but again, we come at it with the kind of the development of the entrepreneurial mindset very much in our thought processes. It's a 4-year degree, and this degree has also got a placement opportunity. And again, we have a very strong practical focus on it, a lot of project work. So it's not all, with all of our degrees, it's not about the big bang at the end of a semester to do exams and pass them. It's about engaging with the work early on, doing solid project work as you go through, developing your skills, and as I suppose avoiding that big bang at the end. So it's good. It's not necessarily good news if you like cramming for exams at the end of the year, but it's very good news if you like to work consistently and steadily. And I think it suits a lot of our students. The final one that is on that list, it's a 3-year BA honours degree in digital marketing. And this is a new program. We're very excited about it. Sam is one of our first years. And, you know, I don't need to say to you guys, the world has changed radically in the last 10, 11, 12 months nearly now. And the need to be able to engage, for businesses to be able to engage digitally and to be able to market themselves in a very competitive environment on the digital arena is extremely important. So all of the degrees that I've talked about have a couple of common things associated with them. They're all quite applied. So we have a really strong emphasis on project work and a strong emphasis on making that as authentic and as real as we possibly can. So lots of project work, so that by the time you're ready to graduate, we like to think our graduates hit the ground running. So that application, the learning about the subject matter, learning about the content, and then being able to apply it is what our whole approach is about. They all have, at this stage, they all have a work placement opportunity. So, and the work placement opportunity in each one of them is for a full semester. So in the applied entrepreneurship and in the digital marketing, the 2 3-year programs, that takes place in the second semester of the second year. And in the 4-year programs, which is the arts management and the business management program, that takes place in the third year. It's also worth mentioning that if you do decide in that semester, you do have the option to do an Erasmus, which is a study abroad, or to do an Erasmus work placement, which is abroad. That's a relatively new introduction, and we'll talk about it. Siobhan will tell us a little bit about it later. So that's the kind of the overview of the programs. So what I thought we would do next is maybe just have a chat about them in a little bit more detail, both with the staff and with the students. So I'm going to start this piece, if you don't mind, by asking both Johnny and Sam, you know, maybe to tell us a little bit about why they chose the program that they did, and then we'll come back to them and we'll chat a bit about their experience of it. So I don't know, Sam, you're coming up on my screen first, so I'm going to ask you if you wouldn't mind telling us, you know, why you opted to come and do the digital marketing program.
Well, as you were saying, the course it's a level 8, but it's only 3 years long, which is like, it's one of the only ones in the country that has like the 3 years while still being a level 8. And the course itself was designed by industry professionals. So you know, when I graduate, I'm going to have the skills that employers are looking for. So my employability is going to be hopefully pretty high, depending on my grades. But also, one of the things that I really thought like really drew me towards the college was the class sizes. I myself went to UL for like last year for the first semester, and it wasn't for me, so I deferred. But I was in a class size of about 600 people, and I felt like I was a number in a system, and that didn't work for me. But when I came to IADT, I was 1 in 20, and it was a kind and like open environment, and I just felt like I was more of a person and that I mattered more. So that's what really drew me to IADT.
Okay, great. Thanks, Sam. And Johnny, would you mind sharing your reasons for coming along?
Yeah, so like when I was in 6th year, I was really like not sure as to what I wanted to do when I got to college. So like I had a number of different options and I was quite academic, but I didn't want to be, like Sam said, another number in a system. And I certainly didn't want to be doing a business degree that was like 99% academic and very like little practical aspect to it, because I mean, you could come out of a different college with a very high points degree and still not be employed because you don't have the experience you could get in a course like this. I really wanted a course that wasn't just academics. Now there's academics in the course, obviously, I mean there has to be, which are very good. I mean, it's good to know the very like bare bones of stuff. It's good to get more detail on some of the like different subjects we have, like economics. But I mainly wanted a subject, or I mainly wanted a course where I could do like real life experience in business as well as academics in business. So like, and I wanted a course where I could know my lecturers. Like Sam says, like my lecturers all know me by my first name, and every single one I've had has known me by my first name. And it's the same with almost every single other person in my class. So it was kind of a perfect choice for me, IADT. And yeah, I really think it's the class size and the practicality of the course too was a huge reason.
Okay, maybe you'd elaborate a little bit on that, Johnny. I mean, you're in your second year now, and you know, maybe you could tell the audience some of the practical things you've done.
Yeah, I mean, like this year, obviously with the pandemic, it's been so different. And I think our lecturers are even saying they're dying to get back on campus, especially for a course like mine. Like I think it's better if I went back to first year, because some of the stuff I did then was life changing. Like we had the Christmas stalls where we all set up our own like stall in the chapel, and we were all really competitive with it. We did it with the 701s, and we had the paperclip challenge, which is something that no other college course in the world would let you do. But my lecturer, I'm very, very fond of Jeff Taylor. He's really popular amongst all of us because he seems to just be incredibly smart and incredibly good at kind of getting us out there out of our comfort zones. Comes up with an idea and says, okay, we're all meeting at Dublin at 10 a.m. on a Saturday when it was lashing rain. I mean, like it was borderline storming. He says, I'm giving you all, putting you all in groups. I'm giving you a paperclip. You're going around Dublin for 5 hours, trading it up to the best possible like things that you can get, and winner gets a prize. So my group was a good few of my friends and I. So I decided we get Lewis to Dundrum, and then we were out of the rain and we had like an infinite number of shops to trade. And we got back and Jeff was like so impressed with all of us, and then he chose my group as the winning group. And turns out there was no prize because Jeff didn't think we'd get any like trades, but we turned out to. And I mean, like, it's things like that that are just like you make memories, but you're also put way out of your comfort zone. And I don't think coming out of any other generic business degree, you're going to come out any more like confident, whereas we all are. And I mean, another thing we did, like the first thing we did was the cupcake challenge, which is kind of difficult to explain, but we had to in some way make a marketing plan or sell something or do some kind of fundraiser to do with a cupcake. And like Jeff had us cold calling loads of different companies saying, look, we're college students, we're doing this. Can you give us some of your, whatever it was, like if it was VitHit or Mars Bars or whatever, can you give us something to help us with the project? And he had us going around Dunleary doing it. So I think that practical aspect is really, really important, because you, in order to be like a business person or an entrepreneur, you have to be able to communicate with people. And you can learn all the academics you want and you can learn all the theory you want, and that's fine. But if you get out of the course and you're not able to communicate like effectively, I mean, have you actually learned anything? Do you know what I mean? I think that's a really important aspect of the course, is we're taught how to communicate well and confidently too.
Okay, great, thank you. I might bring Connor in on that, and I know Connor, we've a particular project in fourth year that you might like to describe, which I think does some of the things that Johnny was talking about, but maybe in a slightly different way by the time they get to fourth year.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. In fourth year, we get all the modules to work together on a major assignment. So it's kind of a capstone kind of project that the students do. And the way it's set up is that there's a lot of detail behind it, but it's essentially the students are given background information on a fictional company. And then they have to study that and research the industry and the company for 7 days. And then on the 8th day, they get issues that they have to deal with and advise the company how to cope with. And they have 9 hours to do that. So that task is very real life, and it's coming from real life situations. And and they have to pull on their learning from outside the college, inside the college, and across all the modules and all the learning that they've done. So it's really, it's a very realistic exercise. They're essentially put in the position of a manager or an executive for a day, and they have to produce a report, which is really, really kind of very important in terms of their fourth year. So they do 3 of those in final year, and they cover different industries and situations, and it tends to be a very immersive and a very kind of constructive exercise. It kind of consolidates a lot of the learning that Sam and John are talking about there that are built up during the years. But Therese, could I just tell one little story of a student and the kind of example that, say, the work that Sam and Johnny are talking about there, and particularly Johnny there in the projects. Well, we had in third year, we make quite a lot of space open for students to do actual live, their own projects. So they get to pick their business or their enterprise, and they get space and time to develop it. And they get credit for that across different modules and stuff. So we had one student a few years ago, and he was a very entrepreneurial student, as many of our students are. And he decided to, his idea was, he got together he was good at woodwork, and he built a fairly big piece of wood, and he painted it up. He had 2 of them. One was a painting of a pop band of the time, and another was of the Irish front row of the Irish rugby team. So we had 2 of these, quite big, 4 feet by 6 feet type big things, and he cut out the faces. So he then toddled his way down to the Olympia during pantomime season in the middle of the winter, freezing cold, and he would sell people the photograph. They'd put their heads into the gap in the photograph and get their photograph taken, as in the Irish front row or in this pop band. So he was doing this on the streets of Dublin, outside the Olympia, for a number of weeks over the winter, and freezing cold, and you can imagine all the business learning that would be done in that situation. And that same student, a short number of years later, then made the break into a very big US technology company, and is now excelling in that company and doing exceptionally well. And he is using the skills to do super well in that company. I mean, super well. But those
that he holds on the streets
was outside the Olympia during pantomime season. So not all the learning, as Sam and Johnny are saying, not all the learning is in the classroom. A lot of it is, as they have described, and we have many examples of that. And we do keep in touch, because the other huge plus of our class sizes is that we get to keep in touch with our students as they become graduates, and through these great things like LinkedIn, we get to keep in touch with them. And for example, we get to know how they get on in these master's programs, because quite a number of our students go on to master's programs, and the most popular one for our students, maybe because of geography, is Smurfit Business School. But quite a number of our students have gone there and have done really well there. So that's one route for some of our students who want to do that. But the main route would be into the world of business, as the example kind of highlights. So that's the story, Therese.
Great, thanks, Conor. I'm going to actually maybe I'll go to Ava first, maybe to just talk a little bit about the digital marketing, which is our latest offering. So Ava, if you wouldn't mind just talking a little bit about the underlying approach to it and how it evolves over the 3-year period.
Well, we designed this program about a year ago, I think, and we started it last September. So it's the only 3-year program that we have. We currently have one cohort started last September, and year 1 is an introduction to many of the business core subjects, but also with a digital focus on technology and also on marketing. In year 2, students go on to placement, and that happens on the 2nd semester. So the 1st semester they go back to campus after the summer, and they do other 5 subjects, which again are a little bit higher level in terms of marketing and business. And in the final year, they come back for a full academic year, where they do also subjects related to business and digital and marketing, with a focus in the final year on social media and digital sales, which we have found in the past where a lot of our graduates tend to go into the areas of digital marketing, digital sales, CRM, and also social media.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
where we're at.
And I suppose I think it's true to say that, I mean, one of the reasons that we developed the program was really as just watching the way our graduates who were migrating into digital, even though they had marketing and digital in their undergrad general degree, there's quite a demand for marketing specialists. So the reason the digital marketing is a 3-year degree is that it is a specialist degree, and that it's designed to be responsive to changes that are happening in the marketplace. And I suppose what we're trying to do is be agile and respond quickly. Sam, maybe you talk to us a little bit about your experience. I know this year has been very different, and we really are hoping, and you know, thankfully there's vaccinations coming our way this year. So we hope we'll have a very different student experience into the next academic year. But maybe you tell us, it has been challenging coming to college for your first year in a year that has had, hopefully we won't have anything like it for a long, long time again.
Touch wood, but after the commute's been easier, but
Yeah. There's always a plus.
yeah, college during COVID, especially first year, it's a very different experience. Like all of my lectures, pretty much apart from maybe like a couple of weeks, were on campus. Like all of them were off, like online, and in some ways, like it can be difficult to connect, but I found as much as you put in is what you get out. And all I can like emphasize is if you put in everything that you've got to the experience for college, you'll get everything back. Like I'm doing this, I've got, I'm one of the student reps for my course. I feel like, yeah, I'm limiting the college experience I can get during COVID, but if I do everything that I can, I'll get as much as I can from it. And when it comes to the digital marketing and how that's been affected, a few of my modules are computer based, so I would be doing them in a computer lab, but instead I'm doing them on my laptop at home whilst listening to the lecture. So it's not too taxing really, but one thing that I really would emphasize is sometimes it's easier to do a presentation when you're doing it online. So COVID, it's been a horrible time, but there's been positives to it, especially with the college experience. But
yeah, and I suppose it is interesting, and it has been interesting for staff and students alike, in that, you know, this way of working is probably going to be a feature of our lives one way or the other. Not as immersive, I hope, for all of us. But so in doing so, we're all honing some skills, which I think we will all need as we go on. You made a comment there, which is I think something that I would really pick up on, and it is you get as much out of it as you are prepared to put into it.
yeah,
And I think that is something, like, it's very interesting to hear you say that. It would certainly be my observation from, at this stage, a good number of years of looking at students and how they progress, and how they progress after they graduate. Very often, the students that embrace the opportunity on the campus are the ones who find themselves with opportunity when they leave the campus. And by that I mean not just the classroom, it's the wider community, getting involved in sports, getting involved in clubs and societies, being student rep, doing other things. Because college, no matter where you go to college, there will be loads of opportunities to do other things, to join societies, to take part in lots of activities. And the students who do that are very often the first ones that get snapped up when they graduate. So we'll talk a little bit more. Yeah, go on, work away. You talk.
Just when you were talking about how much you put in, one of the best things that I can recommend is when you're doing an assignment, make it something that you are completely interested in, because then it doesn't feel like you're having to type out anything. Because like my course is 99.999% project based. So if I'm doing lots of different projects, I want them to be unique and different and interesting to me, so that when I present, say if I was presenting to Ava there, it's something that catches her attention, is factual, and like it's interesting to not just me but the audience.
Yeah, that's really good advice. Ava, do you want to comment on that? Or
Yeah, sorry, I was muted. Yeah, I think that's a really good point, Sam. And we always give the students that freedom to either select, you know, a brand or an idea that they have. We're quite entrepreneurial as we are, because that's where we started. Our roots are entrepreneurial. So we always kind of give our students the opportunity, if they have a business idea or there's anything they want to do or anything that they want to create, because with digital everything is possible. And there's so many tools and so many free software that we can use, and we can help, you know, if you are creative, there's a lot of room in this program for that. But if you're more into the analytical side and you like more numbers or managing big data, there's also a huge opportunity for you in this program as well. So we'll give you kind of the both sides of marketing. I think especially in the last 5 years, marketers have had to become a lot more analytical and as well as creative. And I think we have integrated that quite well in this program.
yeah, and I mean, I think no matter, it's great advice. It's kind of what I expect the staff to say, and it's great to hear the students saying it. But if you put yourself into it wholeheartedly, and if you work on things that you're interested in, then you know you're well on your way to success if that's the way you approach it. Siobhan, I know you've been very quiet there in the background, and maybe I'd ask you can you talk a little bit about the placement? As I mentioned, placement is very much part of what we offer across all of the degrees. You play a leading role in making sure that happens and our students get the opportunities.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
I think at the moment I look after placement on the business management course, so it's the students in 3rd year, but obviously as of next semester, or well 2021, when you guys are going to be coming to us, hopefully our 2nd year will be able to access placement. So it's a great opportunity for them. And Sam's will be in 2nd year in digital marketing, so he'll be off on placement in 2nd year. So our students go on placement in January of their 3rd year, well, for my group at the moment, and they go to all sorts of different businesses. It's really, and again, in a way, what Sam just said, it's up to the student to decide where they want to work. So we've had students working in fashion in New York. We've had a student who worked with Coca-Cola in Pakistan. We've students who worked in financial services in Dublin, in PR in the UK. So hospitality, event management, you name it. It's up to you as an individual to decide where you want to find your placement, and I support students in that placement search. And again, I think this year in COVID land, it's actually been a very challenging year for the students, but the students are on placement. Now, a lot of them, as you can imagine, are working remotely, but they are working remotely and they are developing key skills, as Therese says, because they eventually, I think the reality is that we're all going to be working in remotely in some shape or form in the future. And I think Therese also mentioned the idea that students have the opportunity in the placement period to go on Erasmus. And we have Erasmus links in Spain, in France, in Finland, in Latvia, and in other European countries. And also the opportunity has arisen over the past couple of years for students to actually get funded work placements abroad. So that's another opportunity for students. And then finally, I'd say to you, if you are entrepreneurial or you have an entrepreneurial bent, you can use the space to develop your own business. And we have supports and a whole process in place for students to develop their own businesses. And we have had a number of different successful businesses coming out of the placement process. And we've a number of students this year who are following that path.
That is, and I suppose it has been heartening really at one level. I know as a team we were concerned about placement in this particular year. We've a lot of students who are actually have been onboarded to their companies remotely and are working away, is great to see. Just on the Erasmus work placement is a relatively new scheme that is funded by Europe. A number of our students have availed, which is also a nice thing to do. And again, I suppose I'd go back to what Sam so wisely said. You know, if you put a little bit of energy into working with Siobhan or whoever in the team is with you around placement, you can really make it an opportunity to really, you know, get that industry experience before you leave college. It's great. Thank you very much. I suppose, Johnny, I might go to you because you're second year, and like we've been talking a little bit about the academics and what we do on the programs. That wider social life of a student, which has been somewhat restricted in the current climate, but you would have a sense of it from last year, and maybe you'd like to talk a little bit about that.
Oh, it's been really tough this year. I mean, a lot of us in my course, we live in Dublin and Wicklow, but quite further away, so none of us really can meet up, even if it was outside for exercise. Last year, the social life was so good, especially in such a tight-knit course. I mean, I think Connor will back me up on this. My course was almost unnaturally close from the very beginning. We all knew each other's names. We all got on very well. There was no drama or any of that stupid stuff. And the social life in college, especially in IADT, is just, it's good because it just seems everybody in IADT is nice. And I know that's kind of a very generalizing statement, but like, I've just had random people from different courses I've never even met just straight up spark a conversation with me whilst waiting for coffee. And I mean, I did a UCD tour when I was in 6th year, and like people looked at me as if I was like an alien or something. And I think sparking up conversations with people in huge colleges is so different because you might not ever see them again. Where in IADT, you usually see the same people every day. Like, I think it's just a very social college in general. I mean, you have the chapel where a large amount of students go to kind of like, you know, socialize. And then you even have the people who work in the canteen, especially one of the chefs, who are just so lovely. And the people who serve you coffee are lovely. There's no coldness, there's no rudeness. It's always, hi, how are you doing? I think as well, I mean, my friends and I would usually hang out on campus if we're doing assignments, but then if we're leaving campus, you have the entirety of Dunleary, you have Weatherspoons, you have loads of different restaurants, you have the Dart as well if you want to go into town with your friends. I think it's very fair to say there's a very vibrant social life in IADT, and I really can't wait for the kind of everybody to be vaccinated and for us to get back. So we can all start socializing again, because God knows we need it. There's also the orchid in the back of IADT, where I know a lot of people go over summer, probably not in the winter, but to socialize. And obviously there's the clubs and societies, which I didn't get to join any last year, but I know that there are some that are really popular, like the Enterprise Society, and there was a rock climbing society, a running society, and I think that's really good because another huge reason I did this course is kind of just to meet people from other courses as well, just to kind of network in a social way with them, and that's a really great way to be able to meet other people. So I think the social life is really vibrant.
Yeah, I suppose you touched on something there. I think first of all I have to explain the chapel is actually the student union hub, so that everyone is clear what we're talking about. It's a dedicated area where the student union operated, and there's a coffee shop, and people go there to hang out and I won't say they skip lectures; they go between lectures. But so there is an area there. But the whole point of, I suppose, the clubs and societies is it does allow you to meet people who are doing different courses, and you have a shared interest and have a bit of fun along the way. Conor, do you want to talk about the football? Conor is a great advocate of our local talent.
Well, it's a very important, as Johnny said, it's a very important part of being a student for some students. So we have football teams in the college. We have a women's football team this year, which is great. Now they're subject to pandemic restrictions, but we have a women's team. Our men's team have been very active, and we have a great support team behind them. And it's really kind of a way of life for people who are into football. So that's very well organized, and we're blessed to have great mentors and coaches on that side. We also have a very strong history in the golf with our golf club, and college golf is teams of 4. So we have a history of quite good golfers, and we have a social golf society as well. And there's lots of other as Johnny mentioned, lots of other societies and clubs. So there really is more. The college is small enough that if you're interested in something, you can actually get that club or society going. So it's really, really good. And it gives people, as Johnny says, it gives people a chance to meet people outside their particular course or class. So it's great. It's very important. Could I also throw into the discussion, Therese, just the Entrepreneurial Bootcamp?
Yeah.
Which you have organised and Johnny has participated in, and it's a huge plus, I think, for students who want to set up their own enterprises.
Yeah, it's what we do is we partner with the there's an incubation centre, a business incubation centre on the campus called the Media Cube. And we partner with the Media Cube, and we run a program for students, specifically geared at students who are exploring their own ideas. And we bring in people, external people who are working for Enterprise Ireland and working with the local enterprise agencies, and they work specifically with the students. Johnny, I think you had an experience of that last year. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's something I forgot to mention earlier. Jesus, I knew I was missing something. So I got an email one day when I was sitting in internet applications for this boot camp, when I was sitting with my business partner, Tomic. And I was kind of like, I wonder what would that be like? It would probably be nice. I felt like there's a possibility it would just be, the run of the mill. You have to do something that will add value to your business and give people a reason why they will choose your business over whatever. Because I've done a lot of stuff like that before, and I was very wrong, and I'm very glad I was wrong. I had a business idea that I used to get into that boot camp that I had to put on hold because of COVID. But I applied, and so did Tomic, and then we both got in. And the level of professionality, experience, knowledge, and deep knowledge of the industry they had worked in of each of the people we had in was just incredible. People in Ireland and in America and in countries alike, with this whole kind of entrepreneur lifestyle exploding over the past few years, will pay literally tens of thousands to do courses kind of like this, or retreats, which are often very gimmicky. But this really wasn't. I think we had 5 different speakers in. We met students who were much older than us, like in their 30s and 40s, with different ideas. Some of them were just incredible ideas as well. It was competitive as well in a very subtle sense, in the way that there were prizes at the end, and a student in my course won one of them, which was really nice. And that kind of opportunity, I know Connor said it to me, like, I got that for free, and people would pay thousands for something like that, but they wouldn't get that level of just professionality. And I found it so useful. I mean, like, one of the people we had in was John McMahon, who was a business owner of Plan 21. I'm going to say it was the name of his business he sold, but it was a very popular 21-step business program. And we learned very simple but really, really useful information from him, like the labor-based versus material-based versus machine-based versus information-based labor or businesses, and how they differ from one another. And I just found that was, like, it really was incredible getting to hear from people who are so successful, not just people who have a business where they help people with their small businesses, or help people coach their businesses when they have never had a successful business or made, it was like a euro in their life. It was real, like, people. And I think that experience was invaluable. They were long now, they were 3 hours, they were very intense. And I mean, like, we knew what we were signing up for, with a 10-minute break. And I've said to Dominic before, like, that was one of the top 3 memories we have from first year. Like, I got home to Greystones at 12 most nights, and it was well worth it, like, because it was so good. The information was incredible.
And up at 9 o'clock and back in for a 9 o'clock lecture, Johnny. No problem.
Never missed one of those. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I think everybody, even if you have something in the embryonic stage, like business, and you're just like, oh, I don't really, like, just apply for it. Especially next year, I'm doing it again if it's on, just because of how great it was, you know. So yeah, it really
be more competitive even, but anyway, well done, good for you. Great. And I'm just wondering if Connor, you want to say a little bit more about the graduate outcomes in terms of where they work. I think people are always interested in knowing where they can go.
Well, we were very lucky in that we were able to keep in touch with nearly all our graduates through LinkedIn, the online platform. So we get to see how they're doing when they're changing job, when they're setting up a business. So we would have a certain number, would about 4 times the national average would set up their own businesses afterwards. So we have a very high percentage of entrepreneurs who go out and do their own business. We'd have more students who would go into employment, and they go into the areas of, as Ava and mentioned, and yourself mentioned earlier, a lot of our graduates go into the management positions, sales, finance is a big area, human resource, some go into. So we have a number of that. The industries that they go into would be technology would be the main industry, finance would be number 2, and then there's a whole plethora of different industries that they can go into. The beauty of these business programs is that they're a foundation they give you the skill set and the knowledge to go into many different jobs and many different industries, and indeed many different countries. About 20% of our graduates would be outside Ireland. Australia would be a big one, Canada would be another one, the UK obviously, the US. So we have a whole variety. We have 3 of our students went on to do soccer scholarships in the US. So there's a wide variety of opportunity out there, not just in Ireland, but elsewhere. And I also mentioned earlier about the master's programs. About 10 to 15% of our graduates will do master's programs. Smurfit is a popular one, but they've also done masters in the UK, in Warwick University, in Manchester, in Spain, in Italy, and in the US. So the degree is recognized internationally for master's progression. So there you go. It's kind of it's a huge plus of the job in that we get to see where the students, what they do with their learning and their lives afterwards. So it's
Yeah.
IADT for
Yeah,
life.
I mean, I suppose that, I mean, it'd be true to say it's a very broad base, as in, you know, there's lots of opportunity out there, and they can apply the skills are transferable, and they can apply those skills across a lot of different sectors.
And I think that's a very important point to raise in today's world, where there's clearly a lot of disruption and there will be a lot of change. So I think that ability to be able to have a foundation and be able to meet different situations is going to be very, very important. For the people who are looking today will be graduating in 4.5 years' time. So the world is likely to be a very different place to today.
And I suppose that's something you and I, having acquired 1 or 2 grey hairs along the way, that capacity to be able to adapt and change, and to, in some ways, reinvent yourself is becoming more and more important. And it's something that, you know, that's a kind of a skill set that we're trying to help engender in our students.
Well, I'd love to echo a point that you all made earlier about the students who do the extra bit. Sam made it, you made it, Johnny made it. The students who do the extra bit when they're in college. And one way of evidencing that is I go back over the photographs of our students sometimes, and you can see the students who made the extra effort with the enterprises, with the stalls projects, with the Dragon's Den competition that we run for students, or the students run for themselves, I should say. And you can just, because we know now where those students are, the students who went the extra step or mile back in those days are now doing exceptionally well, because we know, because we keep in touch. And so that ability to respond to what they learn in college and responding to different situations, because student life is very different, and if you can handle running an enterprise in college, you can handle a lot of things. So you're dead right, Therese. It's skill building.
Okay, great. I'm very conscious of time, and I know everyone that is watching probably has spent a lot of time already on screens. So I'm going to give the last word to the 2 lads, and my question to them both is I'm going to ask them to give me one word that sums up their experience of IADT to date. So I don't know, Sam, I'm going to go to you first, and then I'm going to come to you, Johnny.
See, that's a tough one. You've one word.
Yes, I sprung that on you.
Ingenuity.
Ingenuity. Okay, that's an interesting word. Johnny, over to you. Thanks, Sam.
I mean, asking me for one word when I'm the most talkative person.
I know it's very hard to ask you for one word, Johnny.
You get a couple thousand. Honestly, in the best way possible, in a very positive way, chaotic in like the best way, because you have so much going on and you have so many opportunities to take. So I'd say chaotic in the best way possible, in parentheses.
Yeah. Okay, great. I had to let you say more than one to actually explain that one. Thank you. Thank you both very, very much. To say to all of you who are listening, just to remind you, these spotlight sessions are recorded. So if you've missed anything, or if you want to, you know, have a look back, you're more than welcome to do so. They're up on the website. And also just to say to you that we do have similar sessions coming up for some of our other disciplines. So there's a psychology session happening on the 11th of March. There's a humanities section happening on the 13th of April, and the creative computing is taking place on the 25th of March. All the details are up on the website. And if you have any questions at any point in time, just email info@IADT, or you contact any of us that you have seen on screen today. We'll be very happy to answer any questions you have. And look, the best of luck to you all, and hopefully we will see some of you in September. Thank you very much.